In this video, we're going to be checking out the UAD 1176 compressor, but before we get started, my name is Ed, you're watching Stokes Sounds, and if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment, and if you want to support the channel, head over to our website, stokessounds.com. Now let's dive in. You can see here, I've got on screen on the UAD website is the 1176 compressor, and the biggest thing about this is that it's currently free until the 28th of February, and you guys, you need to go and get this plugin. It's an amazing compressor, and it's free. So, there's no loss. It's always a gain with this compressor. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this compressor and just demonstrate it, how it works with vocals and, its settings and all of that great stuff. And I've got a track here that's by Alpha Whiskey called Joy, and I mixed and mastered this a few months ago, and I was actually using a different compressor at the time. It was still an 1176, but it was the Blue Stripe by Slate. And what we're going to do is we're going to listen to it with this on so you guys can hear how it was actually mixed, and then we're going to play around with the 1176 and try and beat this mix that we've got. But let's just take a listen and hear what we're working with.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words, it'd be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you lose your...
So you can hear the track, it's a hip-hop style track. There's a lot of diction, there's a lot of words. So, the compressor settings is going to really affect, how that comes across in the mix. So let's take a look at the 1176 and see its features. You can see it, from the emulation from the real hardware unit itself. It's got an input, output, attack, release, and the ratios. And, as you can see, I've got it on the same settings. I've got the slowest attack, fastest release, which is the same thing that I had on the Slate VMR one, just to make it a fair kind of comparison. They're not against each other, they're just different sounding compressors, but I wanted it to keep it to, closest how it was in the original mix, and then we're going to go from there. So, if we just play around itself with the 1176, so we can just kind of see, how it sounds in the mix itself.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words, it'd be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you...
Now you heard there was a massive kind of drop in, level. So it was 100% fair comparison between having it on and off. But what we're going to do is we're going to solo the vocal. We're going to play around with its features first, and then we're going to level match it. And then we're going to A-B with a track, with the compression on and then with it off. And you'll really hear the characteristics of the 1176. And it's not just about compression. It's also kind of the harmonic saturation that this compressor brings out. And when to use it, it's a FET style compressor. So, it's quite an aggressive sounding. It adds a lot of dirt. So, it just really depends on what you're going for, the genre, also the vocal style and all of that great stuff. But one thing I do love about this plugin is, how versatile it is. By having the attack and release options is, a really amazing tool to have, because it's all about controlling the vocal. As you can see, I've got it on the slowest attack, fastest release. And the reason why I chose it for this song was because there's a lot of rap, there's a lot of diction, there's a lot of words. And I didn't want to take away the transients of the way he was, talking. I felt like he had good control with the way he was kind of pushing the words out, that I didn't really need to have that compression kind of coming in so quick. So by making it a slower attack, it enabled me to keep the way that, the transient of his natural way of singing it, but it just allowed me to just control kind of the level of, reducing the dynamic range is what a compressor does, but it was just controlling that ever so slightly. And if I solo the vocal and I put it on, a faster attack and bring the release, slower, you'll really hear how it pushes the vocal behind. It kind of sucks, the life out of the vocal. That's what people say. So if I solo the vocal and bring this release kind of all the way to the left, which will, slow the release down, and then I'm going to bring it all the way forward, and you'll really hear how that vocal changes position, depth within the mix.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words would be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you lose your focus, turn your royal flush to all.
You can really see you get like a ducking effect, and so that's because it's catching the transients of that vocal really quickly, because I've got it on a very fast attack, and so it's about position. So a lot of people tend to kind of have at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock and fast release, and that's kind of like a natural way of doing it. If you start in that place, you're going to be fine. I always say, if you're unsure on where to put an 1176 compressor, just put it on the fastest release possible, because you're going to kind of be safe. As long as you're not doing 20 dB of compression, you're just doing the standard 3 or 4, maybe up to 6 or 7 if you want to push it. Any more than that can get dangerous. I know there's rules to be broken and there is no right or wrong, but I'm just kind of generalizing here, the way that I would use an 1176 compressor. You also saw the way that it was changing its tone as well. If I kind of A/B without it but level match it, so what we're going to do now is we're going to hear the vocal in solo, but we're going to mute and unmute. So we've got the compressed vocal here and the uncompressed vocal here, but we're going to gain match it so it's more fair, and you can really hear kind of the tone that this compressor is giving us.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words would be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you lose your focus, turn your royal flush to all jokers. Your bored vibe will turn a party vibe to bored smokers. A born hopeless, better than a promising guy, cause the underdog has less pressure and more freedom to thrive. I say what I like, cause perception be reality, hence why I mention
you can really hear what that compressor is doing. As I say, I've got it on a medium attack now, and I've got it on the fastest release. Let's just try and put it on the slowest attack and the fastest release again, and let's just kind of hear if that's making much difference within the context of just soloing the vocal itself.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words would be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you lose your focus, turn your royal flush to all jokers. Your bored vibe will turn a party vibe to bored smokers. A born hopeless, better than a promising guy, cause the underdog has less pressure and more freedom to thrive. I say,
you can really hear how that compressor is sounding. It does sound a little bit more muffled, and I may have EQ'd it slightly if I'd used this 1176 compressor to get it to sit better in the mix itself, in the context with the music around it. But again, you can really hear how changing the compressor has such different tones. If I go back to the original VMR that I used and turn on the compressor, so now we've got the same compressor settings on the Slate VMR Blue Stripe 1176 as we do on the UAD 1176, and we're going to swap between the two so you can really hear the characteristics of changing the compressor and also the characteristics of the UAD 1176 compressor as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to load up both now. Going to put them side by side, and so when lead 1 here is on, that's the Blackface 1176, and then when the lead 1 duplicate, I've called it, bad naming, I know, but it will work for this demonstrational purposes, but when it's on, this one is unmuted, that is the Blue Stripe 1176. So let's have a listen with that in context.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Manx raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words would be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I'll make you lose your focus, turn your royal flush to all jokers. Your bored vibe will turn a party vibe to bored smokers. A born hopeless, better than a promising guy, cause the underdog has less pressure and more freedom to thrive. I say what I like, cause perception be reality, hence why I mention conventional ways to travel. Be all you can be, team up and form that faculty. Be firm, return, each learning gradually to one day you come.
Now let's have a listen to that in the mix itself, with the music, and then we can hear kind of how those compressors are acting differently depending on the type of compressor and also the UAD one, and how that's working in context with the whole mix itself.
As I'm sat here with a blank page, Oasis vibes, some might say passion of a Manx rage. Used to stand in line, nowadays I'm more like Man's raid. The nicest beat I ride, jump up and rip the damn stage. Churn from the gate, then burn at the stake. Whether witchcraft or words, it'd be deserving an 8. If not a 9 or 10, then I'm diving right in. My mind's eye looks inside, cause the fight is within. I make you lose your focus, turn your royal flush to all jokers. Your bored vibe would turn a party vibe to bored smokers. A born hopeless, better than a promising guy, cause the underdog has less pressure and more freedom to thrive. I say what I like, cause perception be reality. Hence why I mention conventional ways to travel. Be all you can be, team up and form that faculty. Be firm, return, each learning gradually, to one day you come back to shoot up to all your attributes. A lot smarter now, cause a small flame a damaged view when it was magical. Moves made that were tactical, intangible events materialized to actual.
You can really hear what that's doing to the mix itself. You know, that was the same settings: slowest attack, fastest release, slowest attack, fastest release, 4:1 ratio, 4:1 ratio. You know, it's exactly the same. And, you know, the Blueface 1176 I do like to use a lot of the time on male vocals, and that's purely because the way that that compressor sounds, the harmonic saturation, is just a little bit brighter. It adds a little bit more kind of 10 to 15k than this UAD 1176, but they both work for different reasons. And, you know, it's an unbelievable that UAD have allowed us to have this one for free, because it's a must-have compressor in your toolkit. And, you know, as I said earlier, it's been used on so many hit records that the consumers are used to hearing an 1176 without knowing it's an 1176 compressor. And, you know, there's so many great compressors out there, but I think that the thing that makes the 1176 just so kind of good and so famous is just the saturation that it adds, the punchiness. You know, it really cuts through mixes, and, you know, you can slam it 10, 20, 30 dB if you really wanted to, and it will still sound kind of great. But again, all within reason and depends on the music that you're working on. And that's it. That's a UAD 1176 compressor. As I say, it's free. It's on their website till the 28th of February, so make sure you go and download it. It's an incredible tool to add to your toolkit and your list of plugins. You will use it, I promise you. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that like button or subscribe. And if you've got any questions about kind of how I'm doing it, or why I'm setting up the compressors like this, or just any mixed questions in general, please do leave them in the comments and I'll get back to all of you. And I'll see you again next week for another video.